Are you ready? Stand by.
This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman from the 3-Gun Show, and I'm with Tina Martin-Nims from Team Breda, and we are going to learn about choke selection.
So before you go out to the match, you want to make sure that you have an understanding of how what your chokes are patterned at. So what I like to do is I have my 3 main chokes that I usually use, which is a spreader, an IC, an improved cylinder, and a mod. And I set my targets out at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And it's just like a knockover steel and a flipper. And I test to see what how they perform at those distances with the ammo that I typically use. And so when I go out onto a stage, I already know that at, say, 35 yards, I can use my mod choke and knock it out. And I'll be all ready to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's your tech tip from Tina Martin-Nims of Team Breda. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at BredaUSA.com. That's BREDA. Hey there, and welcome to the 3-Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. If you're new here, our regular Wednesday show is a deep dive into the mindset, training, and techniques of the best practical shooters in the world. What you're listening to now is a Match Recon podcast where we have a shooter run down a set criteria and give you the tools needed to excel when shooting the match that we're covering. I do a lot of these recons myself, and if I didn't shoot the match, I interview one of the amazing people in our community that did. This is the replay of the Recon podcast that supporters of the 3-Gun Show on Patreon got to listen to real time. Patreon is a subscription-based service that allows you, the listener, to support creators like myself on a monthly basis. I can't thank the patrons enough for their support of the 3-Gun Show, which helps me to continue bringing regular, high-quality content to you. If you dig the work that I'm doing on the podcast, on YouTube, on Instagram, etc., consider supporting the show with a few bucks each week at patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. Show notes, including a written breakdown of all the recon criteria, can be found at 3gunshow.com. Just search for the name of this match. Now enjoy this Match Recon, and I'll see you on the range. Welcome to the 3-Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this is a special Match Recon podcast with Special Field Correspondent Dianna Muller. Di, how are you?
A field correspondent. I love it. Good to be here.
This is kind of a throwback. Like the first time we ever chatted was over the Skype, and here we are again 2 years later.
Has it been 2 years?
It's like a year and 3/4-ish.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the success of your show.
Thanks. We're keeping her floating here. We're having a good time. Well, since the last time we've talked, I've been shooting a ton of matches, and one of the cool things that I've been able to do is create like this template of criteria that the listeners are interested in, based on listener feedback, of what they look for when they go and shoot a match, and that's what the Match Recon is all about. And I actually shot the match that we're going to talk about today, but I shot with the staff, and it's a unique match, and I felt like I needed a unique perspective, and that's why I invited you to join me here.
Well, I think that's a great idea to do the recon things and let people make a decision based on somebody who's been there, what their thoughts were about the match.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and the amount of match dollars and time are finite, right? So we have to be smart about where we spend our money and our time. So this allows people to make a little bit of educated decisions based on the type of match that they like to see, and get your perspective as well. So if you agree with Di on a lot of topics, you're going to agree with her on this match, and we'll figure it out here as we go. So
sure.
Di, what match did we shoot?
Well, we just got back from the 2017 Brownells, A Girl and a Gun Fall Fest presented by Red Stitch. It was October 3rd through 6th at Rock Castle Shooting Center, one of my favorites.
Yep.
It was a total time, which was not my favorite. They used a proprietary rule book, which was just kind of it was their own.
Right. It's a girl and a gun rule set.
Picking and choosing what they wanted. They used practice score, which worked out really well. The schedule was kind of a modified on-off deal. Basically, if you've been to Rock Castle, you know that it's advantageous for match directors to keep people in Thunder Valley or keep people in the bays or on that side. It's just travel time is so precious. The match fee was $250. They had 125-ish shooters. I don't know their exact total. The division winners were Ashley Ruark in TAC Ops, Linda Horn in Irons, Katrina Reed in Open.
Oh, very cool. So,
and I got second.
You got second in TAC?
I did.
Very nice. Well done.
Just for your listeners out there, I'm sure they were wondering.
No, I was actually wondering. So, and I was there.
Yeah. What were you doing that you weren't paying attention, Dave?
Well, I paid a lot less attention to the scores because I wasn't actually shooting for score. So, and that
might take us to something else about the match is that I would love to hear your feedback as well, because yours is going to be different than mine. But
sure.
I really feel like the energy at this match is just you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And these ladies are the Ranger-proof gentleman that came up and was talking about it. He was saying the same thing. He said that you guys are, they really are having a great time, and you can feel it.
Yes.
And there's less pretense. He was kind of talking about guys and how they kind of puff their chests up, and he's just like, these guys just don't care. The girls come here and they don't care. They just want to have a good time and be safe and shoot guns. And that's exactly kind of how I felt about it. What did you think?
I thought it was really cool. So I get to shoot, and because of the podcast, I get to associate with all the top 20 guys, and the vast majority of them take it very seriously. There's a small minority that don't take it too seriously, but do end up doing pretty well. And I find that a lot of guys just put a ton of pressure on themselves to where they can't even enjoy the experience for what it is of it's a vacation. There's vacation associated with it. You're not in your daily life. You're not in your engineer job, your cubicle job, and you're going out and competing. But then I think that robs some people from the joy of it and having fun. So in this match, like you said, the energy was definitely palpable. There, you see ladies cheering for each other when they hit a hard shot or something that they were concerned about doing, or I can't hit that those pistol targets. When they clean the pistol plates, then they're all cheering for each other. So it's
actually, I had to tell my girls in my squad because they'll yell while you're in the stage.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, you can't do that. I'm double muffed, and I feel like that I'm doing something wrong or dangerous, so I'm pausing. I was like, you can't yell until it's done. So they all laughed, and they're like, fine. And then at the end, they blow up. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely like that. And one of the other things that I really appreciate about A Girl and a Gun and their admin, this is the only the second year they've done this.
Mm-hmm.
And they do such a tremendous job of providing an experience for the women. And they set up several pros come in early and have clinics.
Yeah.
So I did 2 3-hour clinics on Wednesday, and then I did a stage strategy walkthrough on Thursday. But if you're going to go, I felt like the girls got a lot out of the classes, and they said they did. Mm-hmm. Even though I've seen some of them at 3-gun matches, and one, a couple of them showed up to Rifle 101, and I was looking at them going, girls, why are you here? But even at the end of that, they said that, appreciated and learned something. And what's kind of nice about small groups like that is that you can tailor classes to make sure everybody gets something out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So there was a rifle class, rifle 101, a pistol class, a shotgun class, and I believe there was like a long range class.
Yes.
And then walkthroughs with pros. Any other shooting or any other opportunities?
Well, I did I did a 3-gun one in the afternoon. So I did all rifle in the morning, and then 3-gun in the afternoon. And we just worked on transitions from gun to gun.
Okay.
And a little bit of lateral transition, lateral movement, and making sure that they don't break the 180, which is pretty much where you're going to get bit as a new shooter with moving around with long guns.
I gotcha. Yeah, and the feedback that I heard from the ladies that did go to the classes were that they were super valuable. So, if this is a match you're considering in the future, the feedback is positive on those extra opportunities there.
Right, and it's kind of funny because one of the things that has never happened to me before at a match was like 9 o'clock. I want to say it was late. I was beat. I had been teaching all day, or walking stages all day, and this gal shows up at my trailer, and Heather and I are there. Heather Miller. And we're there, and she's like, knock, knock. And I don't even remember what she said, but the bottom line was that she showed up with a pistol. She had gone to a Girl and a Gun national conference. Mm-hmm. She had taken a class of sporting clays. That was her entire experience with a shotgun.
Oh, wow.
And then she had zero experience with a rifle. So Heather Miller and I I felt so bad for this girl. We want her to have a good experience.
Yeah, of course.
She has no idea that she just jumped headfirst into a tropical storm in the middle of the ocean. And we tried to keep our wits about us as we're trying to help her understand, basically give her tutorials on how to mount the rifle, how to mount the shotgun, how to load the shotgun, how to do all your gear on your belt. And it was like drinking from the fire hose.
Wow, so like the night before a match.
In the end, we're sitting there looking at her, and there's so much more to tell her. And I was like, you know what? If it just gets to be too much, just say, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to shoot my pistol on this stage, and just shoot your pistol. If I just want to shoot 2 guns on a stage that requires 3, do it. Mm-hmm. If you want to just take a break and not shoot a stage, do that. So this woman, her name's Jennifer Cook. By the second day, she was on Becky Ackley's squad. And by the second day, Becky reported to me that she was shooting all 3 guns on 3 stages that day.
Wow.
So, So that was a huge... to see somebody blossom like that, it really moved Becky. And Becky actually won a rifle off of the prize table and ends up turning around and giving it to her so she could continue on her 3-gun journey. And she definitely said that, that she sees why people say this is addictive, and that she's definitely going to start shooting 3-gun and, and on and on. So, yeah, that was a success story for sure. And I don't think that you would have seen that at any other match.
Yeah, how cool is that? You pretty much like hooked her for life now, after that
yeah.
experience.
Say goodbye to all your money. Sell your children.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, well that gives us a really clear idea of the match flavor then, that story in and of itself. So what was the terrain like?
Well, if you've ever been to Rock Castle, you know that it's mostly a natural terrain range, and they did not use any of the bays. They have access to a handful of bays, and they did not use any of those for the match. They only used those for the side matches. So they had a couple of side matches that the girls could take part in. That was awesome. Glock and what was the other one? The Target company.
Gunfighter targets.
Gunfighter, thank you. Gunfighter had a side match, so that's just something to fill the time or the downtime and showcase your product. So that worked out well. But the match itself actually took place in natural terrain.
Gotcha. And the terrain was varied too. Like it's not all the same. So you've got Thunder Valley where you're running up and down short hills, large hills, and then of course there's the valley portion that's like basically an open grass field, and you get to shoot up on the hills and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I felt like the match directors did a really nice job of putting out a cross section of all of our skills. We were using 3 guns, I think, on every stage except the all shotgun stage. But we had slings going on. We were climbing up towers. This was not an easy match. And even some of the targets, if I were to have a say, I would, in my feedback I give them, my feedback would be that, hey, the shotgun targets on stage so-and-so, they need to be moved in 5 yards.
Yeah.
Period. Simple, easy things like that. So it was not an easy match, but it was doable. And I felt like they gave the ladies a real flavor of anything that they're going to run into in another 3-gun match.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What sort of skills were utilized? You mentioned one there with shotgun. I was actually surprised that twice I needed to choke up to a mod, where usually an IC will get me through months of shooting 3-gun matches.
Well, and that's kind of my point on my feedback to match directors. I don't think that this match is designed or intended to be the most difficult match that you shoot during the year. So I'll let them know that some of the targets, whether, if they're heavy, like the red stitch targets are kind of difficult to take down. You can't set them at the max IC or max light mod. You need to set them in a little bit further. So, that, like I said, this wasn't a really give me match for sure.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of, I guess that anytime I struggle with how to say this without sounding like a misogynist a-hole, but I guess anytime you throw like ladies only on something, the assumption is that it's going to be simpler, it's going to be easier, but that definitely was not the case with the stages that were put out at Rock Castle.
Well, correct. And I really feel like maybe they should be or could be watered down just a little bit, just because we are targeting a base of shooters that we don't, what do we see at a normal 3-gun match? 20, 30, 40 at the most women that ever show up to a single outlaw 3-gun match. So we're basically tripling or quadrupling the numbers that we usually see. So obviously we're bringing in some new shooters. So I don't want to chase anybody off, any women that thought that, this is too much for me, because honestly, I would say that it is. But then again, there's Jennifer Cook, who just came in, and I think she had enough lifeguards to help her through the match. So I feel I don't want to turn anybody off from it, but just know that it's not going to be a cakewalk either. There's a lot of moving parts to 3-gun.
Yeah, and I guess when you take gender out of it, you wouldn't really, at like an outlaw match where there's 200 people, you wouldn't have like a 30 or 40% new shooter ratio, right? I mean, it's usually a lot smaller than that. Right.
3-gun matches are really difficult to get into. I always tell my girls and newbies that if you're listening to this, that brianenos.com, under their forum section, there's a Multigun announcements, and that's where all of the matches put out their information and their schedule. So you have to start looking at that now for 2018 to kind of pinpoint when those entries open, because a lot of these matches fill up in a matter of a minute, and if you're not there, you're not going to get in.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, so what other skills were utilized in this?
Well, long range, you had targets out to uncomfortable positions. One was kind of an inverted prone or off of a rickety barricade out to 310, I think was the longest one. And then off of the back of the truck. There's a toolbox in the back of the truck, so it kind of makes it a weird position.
Right.
And there were anything from 165 long range to I think it was another 310, 320 with a 400 bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some long range stuff. Now, one of the things, I don't know if they'll continue this. My suggestion is they scored their paper, which is not normal necessarily. It's not abnormal, but it's not normal. But then they put white no shoots behind baby IPSC targets.
Yeah,
and
so you
I
could see them,
thought,
right?
No, these women, these new people, or even mediocre people, the penalty of having a mic is going to be enough. You don't have to give them a mic and a no shoot. The penalties in this match were exorbitant. I've never seen so many penalties. I was proud of myself because I think I was like the lowest penalty. If I win anything, I think I got the lowest penalty deal. I think I had 40 seconds in penalties.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is interesting. A lot of the matches you go to and you see like, okay, well, if you shoot a penalty-free match, you're going to have a good match. I don't think I saw anyone that didn't shoot penalties in this match.
No, I'm serious. I think I was the lowest person, or the person with the lowest amount of penalties at 40 seconds.
Yes. Yeah. Looking at the
practice score
here, the winner of TAC Ops had 55. The overall winner had 55 seconds in penalties. So, yeah, and scrolling down, a couple people didn't have penalties but they didn't show up. So
they never got there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that's kind of unusual, right? I mean, usually
yes.
You can shoot a penalty-free match, but with the scoring, it's if you hit, instead of hitting in the A zone, you hit the C zone. That's a 1.5 second penalty or something like that.
Right, half second for C's and 1.5 for a D.
Yeah, there you go. Funny story. I drove 18 hours straight to get to Kentucky the night before we were going to shoot. And unfortunately, my timing didn't work out, and so I was exhausted the next morning and missed the first two stages. And I didn't get to I didn't realize that the targets were scored until my second or third stage of the day, where I saw someone walking by and counting. I'm like, wait, what's happening here? What's that guy doing?
Yeah. One of the girls, I think on our second stage, was stage 8, where there's some rifle paper right up close on each wing. And right up close, they're probably 20 yards. But it was Christy Connor Tate. She just went smoking through those. And we all looked at each other and was like, she forgot.
Yeah.
But you asked about logistics and check-in, scoring, and prize table. I thought that they did a great job. One of the great things that A Girl and a Gun does is they're really good at logistics. So pre-communication, they have a Facebook page. They really put out a lot of information, more so than any match that I think I've been to, or at least I pay attention to. But they did a great job. They are excellent at herding cats, I say.
Yeah, they do a great job of that. They, so for check-in for staff, right, they had like a bag for each person, and it wasn't like they had a whole pile of bags. They had a bag with every person's name on it, so
right.
And everyone got like a name tag, and makes the socializing easier, which is important to them, which is kind of cool.
Right. That's they did a good job.
All right, so let's talk about the venue. Let's talk about Rockcastle.
Well, it's one of my favorite places on earth. This time of year is amazing because it's not like smoking hot with 100% humidity. It was actually just perfect. Actually, the entire time there was some threat of rain, but that held off, and we had an amazing. I can't say enough about it. Thunder Valley was good. They got new roads going into Thunder Valley, and not into Thunder Valley, but that main road that gets you from the highway.
Yeah.
To Thunder Valley, that's been repaved, and just the hospitality at Rockcastle is second to none, and we had a great time as usual.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the after after party, have we?
Yeah, we'll get to that down in the fun factor part of it.
Okay.
So we talked about pre-communication. They're good communicators. They have a Facebook group. Any sort of emails that came out, round count, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, everything was. I can't. I don't know what else they could have put out that would have made it better, honestly. And I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I'm busy, so I'm basically about one step ahead of myself. And like today, I'm leaving for Oklahoma City, and as soon as I get done with this, and I'll figure out where I'm staying after I leave.
I'm kind of that way too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about staff. How was the staff?
I think their staff is great. They are, like I said, this is their second year of doing this, so I have seen a change from last year, and I know that they're open to suggestions. So next year, I'm sure some of the things that we saw this year are going to be different. But they try really hard, and I want to give people who do any kind of matches, match director, match admin, staff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to always give them the benefit of the doubt, because I don't want to go work. I want to go have fun. And these guys show up and they put in a lot of time. Some of them don't get paid. A lot of them don't get paid, and they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. So whenever I have a bitch, a gripe, a moan, a complaint, I try to do that A, at the right moment, and B, with as much sugar as I possibly can, because I want to help make things better. And this isn't just about this match. This is about any match. Mm-hmm. But there are growing pains that are going on with this match. And I just have every confidence that they are going to listen to people, and that they are going to make adjustments where they feel it's necessary, and keep trying to provide the best experience they can for their women. They really love doing what they're doing and providing this for women. But if you bitch and moan so much, I mean, I would say, fine. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Adios.
Yeah. Set up your own match.
Yeah.
So I would give them a high grade when it came to their match and what they pulled off.
Very good. All right. So how was the fun factor? We call this we usually call this the Dave factor, but we'll call this the Die factor here.
Oh, Die had a great time. Like we talked about in the opening, the energy was just, you could just feel it. It was different. It's different than most matches. There's a lot of, and especially coming from me. Okay, I'll give you a little insight to me. I have always been a tomboy. I had my best friend growing up was a guy, and I've been in a male-dominated profession and hobby and things like that. So, and then I barrel raced. So my experience around lots of women has not been positive. So for me to enjoy myself and really praise and say that this was a great experience is something to be said. Mm-hmm. Because I usually don't like to hang around with a bunch of women, but this particular event is just very refreshing. Everybody's there to have a great time. The energy going up into it, you can see it on Facebook. I mean, they're constantly talking about their gear and can't wait to see you and things like that. So it's a little different than most, and I appreciated it. The idea behind the schedule and the matrix was to get everybody done by as soon as they could, 3-4 o'clock. I think our last day was maybe 4:30, and we were a late squad. But they wanted to get everybody back to the lodge and have an experience and network and visit and have a good time. So I felt like they accomplished that as well. Very, very high fun factor.
Yeah, so that networking event, a wine and cheese party, which I've never experienced at a match before.
I didn't realize that was supposed to be a networking party. I just saw wine and cheese.
I guess it's whatever you want to make it, right?
I was going to say every day at Rock Castle is a networking opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just like cruising around the parking lot, walking from one end to the other. All of a sudden, you're in an hour-long conversation.
Right. Especially you, I bet.
Yeah. It's, at Pro-Am, it was like kind of difficult to get from my truck to the front door. It's like
I know. You can't be late and expect to not run into somebody if you have to run back in and get something and come back out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And then one of the things, the funny thing that happened was CBS Nightly News. So This wasn't local news. This was the CBS News, the one that has employed Katie Couric in the past. So everybody was very apprehensive about their presence, and I was very proud of A Girl and a Gun and of Rock Castle for allowing them to come and talk to us and experience something with us. And I think I saw the piece. I don't know if you can link it in this, but I thought it was fair. I mean, everybody is talking about the Las Vegas shooting, so everybody's obviously enamored with the AR-15 and the platform. So I thought that it was better than I expected, because I really expected to be, a little blindsided or twisted, and I felt like they did a pretty decent job of at least allowing us to have a voice. Dissension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I think I've said that it was unusually fair, right?
Right. And you know what? One of the gentlemen that was there doing the filming, I did. You may have seen the cameo. They wanted to get somebody shooting fast, so I went up to the side match and I shot for them, and they put a camera on my gun and stuff like that. So they got some footage of that.
Oh, you sucker. You fell for that one.
I did.
Shoot this real fast.
And I actually shot really well too. And I was like, well, maybe I should have slowed down those splits. But at the end of the day, two of the three guys that were over with me asked to shoot my AR, and I accommodated them, of course. And they were concealed carry people out of Chicago, so they had never shot an AR before, but they are gun guys. So they weren't necessarily hostile. They understand that we are apprehensive about their presence there because obviously it's not secret what happens to us every once in a while.
Yeah.
And that we're getting beat up lately. But one of them called me after the fact, and he said, I go a lot of places in the world, and I was really impressed with you. I was impressed with the group of people I was around that was genuine. So we can make a difference. It's just that we have to invite these people to the range or get them to be around us and have a discussion about guns and expose ourselves as gun owners, and we're normal. Mm-hmm. So that's the difficult part. But I was very happy with their presence, and hopefully we at least converted 3 to thinking that gun owners are the greatest things on the face of the earth.
Yeah. That's a tough one, but I felt like it went, from my perspective in watching just the news piece and, hearing the apprehension from the people involved and then watching it like as a media consumer, it went way better than I had expected. So hopefully it does, right. At least show some fence sitters out there that we're not all nuts.
Well, and to our audience, that was fly by the seat of your pants. So we didn't know that was coming until like the day of. There's no preparation. You're shooting a match. You get pulled, aside, and they want to have something to say. Well, you want to have something to say, especially if you're going to get national exposure out of it. Mm-hmm. But my point is that we as shooters, as gun owners, as shooters, and especially as professional shooters that do this, on a regular basis, we have got to have something to say and practice um, the media training, and just turn a camera on yourself and have a conversation, and you put yourself in the shoes of the girls who were on CBS. What's the difference why does somebody need an AR-15? If you can't answer that right now, it's not going to be any easier when your neighbor asks you or the CBS nightly news asks you.
Yeah.
You need to educate yourself and understand what your response is to that, so you can make a difference with whomever you have contact with.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's just like our perishable skills of shooting. It's something that you need to practice.
Right. And, your AR-15, just to touch on it, your AR-15 is the most versatile weapon there is. And the 223 is not necessarily a killing round. It's a little bit bigger than a 22. And if you've ever talked to any of the military guys, they can't stand it. It doesn't kill effectively.
Yeah.
So you can change ammo. You can use it for home defense. You can use it to go hunting, change ammo again. You can use it for sport. There's just so many different applications for the AR-15, which is why it's America's most popular rifle. But that's what you need to understand. Your neighbors need to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's the curse of knowledge. It's something that we always take for granted, right? We know all these things about the platform and the ammunition and everything, but some people's only exposure to it is what they see on the news. And as we've seen with, CNN showing a normal stock as a bump stock with a grenade launcher on it and a suppressor.
How does that happen?
It's got to be like a concerted effort, I mean, I would think that it was a concerted effort if I didn't watch like Transformers and they're talking about, carbureted engines and they're clearly showing an EFI motor, I think there's just stupid people out there that are playing in a sandbox they know nothing about.
Yeah, but you would think that they would fact check and say, like, let me go, find somebody who knows what a bump stock is.
You would think. You would think. Well, you worked in an environment with a lot of people, before, and was everyone that you worked with competent?
No.
Yeah. See.
No. So overall, back to the match. Sorry to get sidetracked.
That's right.
But back to the match, I would give it very high rating. I definitely plan on returning. I just hated to leave. We had squads that gelled. And I was thinking about it. We gel so much that I had probably at least 50% of the women that I had on my squad last year. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't just bust up our squads. Like if you've been on a squad before, go to somewhere else, because I don't want it to be just, I know 10 women or I know 15 women. I would like to get to know everybody. So I'll talk to Juliana and Robin about that next year, see if we can't shake some stuff up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I really enjoy shooting with friends and people I know and stuff like that, but I definitely learn a lot when I shoot with other people I don't know. Plus it's great, always great to make new friends.
Well, that is the curse, because it's that's how you meet new people. But on the other hand, boy, has that bit me in the butt. I mean, we like to shoot with our friends and our buddies because we know that our friends and our buddies reset, and we know that we don't have to wait.
Yeah.
There's some downfall that if you get on a squad that they don't reset, that's probably the biggest downfall of shooting with people that you don't know. So if you're listening to this, that's your other lesson, is to reset and work hard because your squad mates are paying attention.
Yeah. That's a good point, Di. And another thing that I'm so glad you brought that up. Another thing I heard from ROs is that the concept of a squad bomb is something that they really enjoyed. And for people that weren't at the match, squad mom was like a designated person, and there was some squad dads too, that were they were there to keep shooters in order, to make sure shooters were ready when they were called, and to encourage people kindly to reset when they were slacking off a bit. And the ROs mentioned that it made their job so much easier.
Right. And two things on that. First of all, last year we had pros and we didn't have any squad moms. We just had pros at the head of each one, which put a lot of pressure on those of us that volunteered to do that. Trying to get everybody, make sure everybody was ready, got their stuff, they knew their plan, things like that. So that took a lot of pressure off of us. I could just show up and if I had something to offer, I don't mind giving it to you. But I had Aaron Hayes as my squad mom, squad dad. And it's just nice to know that somebody else has the reins and that I can just show up and play.
Right.
Let's see. I said I had two things and I did at the time, but I have to spit those things out while I'm actually thinking about them because I forget them.
Well,
Go ahead.
The pro.
It'll come back later.
The pro on the squad. So what was your role as the pro on the squad other than to shoot and demonstrate
You cut out.
shooting? What was your role as the pro on the squad other than just shooting?
It was a reduced capacity. They could see me shoot. They could see, kind of, hey, they could pick something up. When it comes to just stage plan. I shared my stage plan with everybody, so it wasn't like that was a secret, but they could actually see me execute the plan, maybe how it should have been, it's just kind of an example. So having a pro on there is good. Having squad moms are good. I was going to tell you this. I told you to come back to me. Grand Island does at the Hornady match. They have something similar, and they call it a Wrangler.
Yeah.
So they basically have your order, your shooting order, and they kind of herd everybody. So I like that. I don't know if it's feasible to do that at more matches. I know that's even more staff, but that really does help. Because especially, here's what happens in a match that I go to with my people and my friends is that nobody really takes the reins, and it always ends up, if I don't do it, then it'll end up in my hands at the last minute. So I just take it from the beginning and I set a shooting order. I establish the shooting order, make sure everybody's good with it. And then we run with that. But every time you walk up to a stage, it's incumbent upon somebody to give them the shooting order. So that's another reason that I like the Wrangler or the things, because when I walk up to a stage, then I can preload my shotgun and I can start thinking about my plan as opposed to writing down everybody's name again. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I like it. Yeah. So that is a tough one because then you're adding, so if you have what do we usually have, 10 squads or something like that for a match, 10, 12. So if you do that, then you're adding another 12 staff. I mean, that's right. It makes sense at the Hornady match because from what I understand from people that have been at it, it's Hornady employees that are volunteering, right, to be Wranglers.
I didn't know that for sure.
Okay, we'll call that an unfounded rumor. Allegedly, okay. It's Hornady staff.
Right.
But I guess maybe the takeaway there for people that are shooting is step up and help yourself, your squad, and all the ROs out.
Right, or if you've got a loved one, a husband, a wife, a mom or dad that's around and doesn't mind doing that, then they, heck, I can't just go somewhere and watch something. I have, it's always more fun for me if I jump in and actually work. So if that's the responsibility that I have, just making sure that the list gets there, that helps the squad and it's easy.
Yep, definitely. Well, Di, is there anything else that you want to add to your Match Recon of A Girl and a Gun Fall Festival?
I think we've covered everything. We've been chatting about it for an hour, so I hope everybody appreciates what you're doing and tunes in.
Well, thanks, Di. I appreciate that. So thanks for being a part of the Match Recon. This is, as always, something that we like to do after matches to give people an idea of what to expect if they're going to be shooting this match next year. And I appreciate your unique perspective as a female, because I could not speak about a girl in a gun match.
Well, you can, and I'll tell you this, that Mike Tate, Christy Connor Tate's husband was there, Aaron Hayes was there, and there were several other husbands there. Heath Clevenger was an RO, but I was with Aaron the entire week, and he probably fixed 20 guns, no less than 20 guns. Mike Tate was keeping count.
Yeah.
And he was several times during the match. He's like, I'm just having such a great time. And I was like, told Ryan about it. And I said, you've got to come next year because Aaron just has a blast. And Mike Tate was having a blast. And that energy that we were talking about, I think everybody sees it and feels it. So, bring your husbands and we'll have, hubbies can, they can have their own little bourbon and cigar. And we're doing our wine and cheese, I guess.
Absolutely. And I'd love to be a part of it next year. Looking forward to that. This is probably like so Aaron Hayes has a really good demeanor, right? He's a super happy person. This is probably the happiest I've ever seen him after a match. Like he definitely did have the great time that he was talking about. So
good. And I hope you did too.
I did. Absolutely.
Well,
all right.
We appreciate you coming.
Thanks. Yeah. And I'm happy to share it with the audience. I think it's a pretty cool concept and, it's good to experience it firsthand. And for all you listening, before you take off, make sure you check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com for links to things that we discussed in the podcast, including the news featurette that Di was on. Hey, before you take off, be sure to check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Armalite, the original. Armalite rifles put the AR in AR-15. The rifles themselves come with 1-8 twist barrels, match barrels, 18-inch or 13.5-inch with a 15-inch or 12.5-inch handguard, Timney trigger, Luth AR stock, adjustable gas system, tunable comp, a patented tunable comp. This thing's ready to go right out of the box for a 3-gun with no additional modifications other than putting on a nice optic. I myself use a Vortex Viper PST 1-6 when I'm shooting TAC Ops or their Spitfire when I'm shooting limited. Check them out at armalite.com. A quick reminder that if you enjoyed this podcast, consider supporting the show on Patreon for as little as $5 per month. That's like 3 rounds of 9mm per episode. Patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.